What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video and podcast. If you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where I do upload the audio, transcripts or versions of these videos. So you can always just listen if you just want to listen on the train, bus, in the car, whatever. You don't have to watch the video, but yeah, I prefer the video accompaniment. Does help a lot with getting my point across usually. So I'm sure some of you have been waiting for this. I've had my draft now. We sat in a room from about 10:50 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. And we did our league auction draft. It was an awesome day as per. But I have my team. We've had a few games. We've even had some waiver wire action already in my league by the time I got to do this. So yeah, apologies if some things are a little bit different, but overall it's not. So this video is just going to be about my draft team, guys. So talking through who I got at each position, how that sort of came about, price, draft point, analysis, all of the rest of it. This is the agenda for the chat, the yarn, guys. We've got team breakdown, including the analysis of each pick, got big board insights and the strategic review. So we'll pull up, I can't remember what that's about, but yeah, I'm blanking hard. Big board insights, strategic review. Oh, that's the overall draft look. Got toughest opponents that I'm up against. And we've got a quick quiz for you guys to leave in the comments if you want, or just to do a thought exercise. And then we have the final discussion and the auction board reveal to step through an overall review. So big episode, big video coming in here, guys. So if you don't have the time right now for it, that's totally fine. But if you do just froth your draft content like I do, then this is the place for you, because we're talking all things positive, all things negative, all things mistakes, all things future orientated too. If you ended up with a team like mine for whatever reason, we're going to talk about some of the things we can think about, some of the things we can plan, or just if you have similar weaknesses to me, what you can do about it. Let's get stuck in. Guys, my hooker at the end of the day is Reece Robson. He was drafted as my 9th player out of 17. I only paid $6 for Reece Robson, and Reece was drafted in the midway point. So just a reminder to everyone, if you're new or if you're returning, I do an auction draft and there is no nomination rules. You nominate whoever you want to nominate when you are up nominating a player. So a lot of good players slip through the cracks. Do not freak out when you see the price for these players or where they're drafted and think that's insane. Auctions are absolute chaos. Crazy stuff happens all the time, okay? Like, you basically can't do an auction draft without a mistake. It's basically just what it is. What it is. Like, everyone who's done a few knows that you can't perfect it unless you get really lucky, or unless you're drafting against noobs who've never done it and you've done it before. But if you're in a competitive league like mine, you can't get it perfect. So just reserve or suspend disbelief until later when you see the board and we talk about sort of who and why. But yeah, Reece Robson at 9. So Reece was actually my hooker number 2 behind Grand by the end of the preseason. Was I ever targeting Reece Robson? No. Am I happy to have him? Yes. At the point in the draft that he was nominated, I had quite a bit of money, just the way that the draft had gone for whatever reason, and I was feeling like, given the money I had and where it was, and the fact that all the good halves have gone, I only had one of my spine positions sewed up by that point. So I thought, well, I'm going to pivot away from halves where everyone's spending way too much money, and I'm just going to nab quite a good, reliable hooker who'll get me 50 points a week, sometimes maybe more, sometimes maybe not, who also has a pretty good finals run, and there's a sneaky chance that he dives over the line when I need him most in the finals, perhaps. So I was happy to pay such a low price for a guy who is the second best in his position, which is a pretty scarce, depressing position if I'm honest. So pretty happy at the start here with Reece Robson. Don't get me wrong though, it was not the start of my team. It's the start of this presentation that he is the first position we talk about as we go down the team list. My front rowers: Terrell May, Tom Hazelton. I drafted Terrell May as my 8th player overall, and 11th player was Hazelton. For the price, I paid $19 for Terrell May and $1 for Tommy Hazelton. The draft point for these picks was about the midway point in terms of timing of the overall draft and the budgetary capture-all view, where pretty much everyone had spent $100 more or less. So for Terrell May, he has FRF1 upside. I had him ranked number 1. You guys would have seen that last week or heard that, or you would just know from my hype of Terrell May. There is a world where he averages 75 and is a captaincy option week to week, but there's also a lot of risk where that doesn't happen. He might average 55, 60, only play 40 minutes. There's a lot that could go wrong with Terrell. But at the point in the draft, which was the 8th player that I had on my team, he was my second last. When I was looking at my overall board, he was my second last heart targeter guy. I just really wanted it. And at this point in the draft, I hadn't got many of those guys. I hadn't got many guys that make me play draft. So I thought I'm going to go all in on Terrell. I also had the money for him, and unfortunately someone else was really keen, so we got into a bit of a bidding war, which means a guy that probably should have gone for 14, 15 went for 19, but I'm happy to the money I saved on my early picks, I was happy to spend on Terrell May. Also, I didn't want him nominated at this point. I was hoping to save the nomination for him a bit later and save my money, but someone else nominated him, so I had to get into the arm wrestle. Tom Hazelton, I thought there would be a bit of hype around him being a Sharkies and how many tries he scored, so I just nominated him at a point, not really thinking about it, and got stuck with him for $1. No one was keen, so we laugh it off. We move on. It's $1. It doesn't matter. It's an easy drop. Second row forwards, this is where it gets a bit chaotic, guys. I have Isaiah Yeo, I have Eli Katoa, and on my bench, I have Ola Kawatu. Yes, we do play a reduced 2RF CTW model in our league. There's a few reasons why. It's a bit annoying. I've considered changing it, but it would throw out a bit of our record keeping. Like, we've got top scores and stuff like that, so it would get a little bit messy if we changed it. We might change it next year, but for now I'm pretty comfy with it. It is what it is. The reason we do that as well is because they were the two biggest positions we cut down to create more bench space, to manage HIAs and injuries, and to put more emphasis on draft day, which is what we're all about. We usually go away, or recently we've been away. We couldn't this year due to just a number of issues, but that sort of explains that, guys. Now you're going to wonder why have basically 3 of the top 5 2RFs. Well, this is the story. Ola was nominated pretty early, and the price was really low as someone was about to get him, so I just drove him up. I just got into a bit of bidding war, and then randomly the guy who was keen, he pulled out, and I got stuck with Ola Kawatu for $18, which in the past he's gone for like high 30s, mid 30s. I was stoked. I was like, no worries. I did have a I did by this point have my captain, so to speak, my best pick. So I was happy. I was like, second, like second tier 2RF for $18. Like, I've never come away from a draft with one of the top 5, top 6, top 7 2RFs in recent years. Like, I was stoked. I was like, let's go. I'm building something here. And then randomly, Yo was nominated, and I just wanted to drive the price up because, again, he's too good to go that cheap. And I got into a bidding war. I just decided, why not have Ola Kawatu and Yo? My main competitors weren't in the mix for Yo. It was someone else. Got into a bidding war, and then again the opponent just kind of pulled out, and I was happy to get Yo. I did pay $38, which I think is right on price, guys. At the end of the day, you look at it and you think, it's a little bit overs for where the other guys went. But you've got to remember, in an auction, things are so fluid, things are rapid. You're trying to manage a range of different issues. And I just thought, if I've already got Ola Kawatu and my stud guy, I think Yo is a second rounder. I got him in the community league. If you remember, at the second round, I thought, I'm going to fight for him, stuff it. And I'm happy to pay $38, and he looked awesome. I think he played 80 for the Panthers in Vegas and scored a try, running through the middle. If Cleary goes down, we know how dominant Yo becomes, how much he does. He does everything, so I'm okay with it. Is it perfect? No, but that's auction. What is perfect is driving the price up on Eli Katoa, who I had ranked 2RF number 2 because he doesn't play Origin, has a pretty solid finals draw in a dominant team outside a half that loves to use him. Eli Katoa, another off-season. All reports are that he's healthy, should be a bit fitter. I love it. Eli Katoa. I was driving the price up. He was so low. I had my 2RFs. I thought, fuck it, I'll just drive the price up. There's no way. I'm not letting someone get him for... It was like $12 he was about to go for. I'm like, no, 13. Another guy, 14, 15, 16. He just goes back and forth. Old mate pulled out at $17. I just copied him. I thought, screw it. I will take 2RF number 2. I had him ranked above Yo, who I love. Maybe I've gone back and forth. Yo and Ellie, they're so interchangeable. I usually take Yo because I like watching Penrith, but I'm happy with Ellie. And there you go. I'm stuck with him. So all of a sudden, we're like, what are we? 6 picks in, and I've got the 3 of the 4 or 5, if you count Crichton, and obviously Fafita, best 2RFs. So Guys, this is the beauty, the power, the chaos of auction. All of a sudden, I'm looking at this super weird team where I have only 2 spots for 3 guns. It's just chaos. So we'll move on, but that's the story if you're wondering at any point. How I ended up with these guys, it was Olakwatu first. Yo, I was happy to fight for. ECAT, I thought his price would go through the roof because our last year's winner had him. And I got him for a bargain. Like, you're actually kidding. This guy should have gone for $33 to $40, you know? The Jerome Hughes owner should have been in there, but just wasn't. He wasn't thinking on his toes, and I'll take it. So very strange second row outfit here for me, but I'm stoked. Oh my god, we're 10 minutes in. I'm gonna have to try to speed this up. Halves, guys, drafted late. Tom Duffy, and my last player Cole. So 15th and my last, respectively, $1 each. They're just pure dart throws. My league. Look, what I usually do is get a super expensive gun, and then I just use my knowledge on sleepers and boom candidates and waivers, and I just claw together a team and hope that my gun is healthy, and that's my strategy. This year it's a bit different. I pivoted to Robson, as you saw. I had this stacked 2RF, and I just thought I'm going to punt on 5/8. I think there's a bit of depth there. Duffy, I just think he's sick. He might backfire, but goal kicking, once that was confirmed and I saw him down my list, I was really fighting for DCE because of the Olakwatu stack, but couldn't get DCE and just thought I'm going to punt this position and just dominate everywhere else and if I can and see what happens later on in the half. So that's why I got these two. But J. Cole, he's starting 5/8 for the best team in the comp. He had a try assist and looked really aggressive and good last night. He looked involved for the Panthers. Will he be there all season? I don't know. Do I care? Not really. That's the story there. Guys, wing centers. So I got all these guys just throughout the draft. So I'll discuss the prices separately and the draft point. Again, CTW is so complex in a draft because it's the deepest position. There's all different stuff going on. They get nominated at all chop and change different times. You just have to flex. I'm not going to go through it, but let's just break down my picks and what I think about him. To'o, he was undervalued for some reason in drafts. He's going pretty late in the second, I've seen. Usually, which I think is crazy. Someone told me that it's not someone. Someone said that, like, if last year was To'o's worst year, getting flipped between wings and Cleary being out, if that's his floor, averaging 72, whatever it was last year, he should bounce back and be CTW top 4 this year. On that logic, super happy to get him. Price, I'll bring up the price on my other screen real quick, if it lets me, and I will discuss it just so you guys have it for $9 for To'o. That's a freaking joke. That is a freaking joke. He's a second round pick, and the boys were just sleeping on this sort of stuff because everyone was so hung up on spine picks. So absolute joke, To'o, but that explains why I got him, and I love him. He's my favourite CTW player, one of my favourite players to watch. Moving on to Mulatalo, he wasn't a target for me at all, but I nominated him, tried to drive his price up because the guy I was bidding against for Mulatalo really loves him, and he just pulled out and left me holding Mulatalo for $9. This happened even before To'o, Yo, and Katoa, so I was a bit stressed. I was like, that's fine. The upside with Mulatalo, great attacking team, the Sharks, like, it's sweet. If he goes on a tear of 2 to 3 games of scoring 90 plus, I'll try to trade him just because it doesn't really float my boat. But $9, like, to me, he's a top 10 CT dub. I'll take it for $9. So Cobbo, I actually got Cobbo first, guys. It was so frustrating. Look, Cobbo, I'm big on him for the year. I have him ranked highly because he will be good. So if you own Cobbo, don't take this the wrong way. But I nominated him pretty early. He was my 3rd picked player in my roster. I nominated him pretty early because I thought I'm in a Brisbane league with all my Brizzy boys. Everyone loves the Broncos. And I just thought, yep, Cobbo will go crazy. Everyone knows he's back on the wing. We love the Bronx. The boys were off him. I bid him up, got him to $11, and someone said, nope, you have him. And I was stuck holding the bag, guys. At the point in the draft, $11, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. He's probably like a $15 guy. But at the end of the draft, you realise I could have got Cobbo for $5, but you don't know this at the time of nomination, so the market always starts high and fluctuates down, and you can't really review costs in an overall perspective. You need to kind of view them in the moments they were taken, early, mid, and late draft. That's why I have that guy's draft point highlighted in the above the analysis, because you need to view prices and values in different segments of the draft. If you view them at an overall level, I don't know if that's an accurate representation of sort of what was going on and isn't really fair on yourself or other people to do it as such, just due to complexity of budgets and people's opinions and team needs and requisites and all this sort of stuff, especially when you throw in captains, vice captains, it gets really complex. So just Cobbo was not a target for me for the day, really, but a guy I'm happy to have in hindsight, and I think I can trade him if he goes well, and Broncos bias in my league. So I'm okay, but yeah, don't love it. Fermor, major target for me. After I got May, all I had to do was get Fermor, and I was going to be happy, so I got that. Got him for $7. Absolute bargain. Yeah, happy with him, just for the flexibility. I think I like Dylan Lucas a bit more, but with the finals season, the finals, what do you call it? Strength of schedule for the Titans, I wanted a slice of their attacking sort of players, and I think Fermor's in for a solid year, and I just love the flexibility. CTW to RF. He's on bye this week, so he's not in that starting back line. Alamotti, another major target for me. As a To'o owner, he's a bit of a handcuff, and there's a world that he plays one wing, To'o plays the other, that sort of stuff. Just like Alamotti a lot, and the price in my league was fine, $4, absolute bargain. So you see, when you talk about Alamotti and Fermor for $7.04, you go, holy crap, you paid 11 for sell, and yeah, but it's when I paid. Everyone had tons of money, people were bidding him up, and I didn't think I'd get stuck with him at 11. So a little bit lesson learned on Cobbo and Mulatalo. I think next year I'll be a little more relaxed in my bidding up. I'll let people have things for $8 rather than trying to get them up to 14. Probably just need to stick more to the people I really want. But again, not mad. They're both massive upside wingers ultimately. Moving through, my fullback, my number one player, my captain, my first off the board, James Tedesco. Look, I'm going to keep it a buck. Bit of a weird one. I was just bidding him up because he was way too low. Thought I had a guy on the hook for him. I was targeting more Scotty Drinkwater. Someone had already told me they're going for Tommy for expensive, and I just kind of didn't want to get in that war. But it was early. Everyone had money. Only a few big names are gone. And I was like, yeah, $50. That's so cheap. Like Teddy, he's a $60 guy. You can see my red screenshot down here, this little snippet with Tommy. I'll try and move the camera out of the way. It'll put me back in the row, but Kalen, as long as I got one of those guys, my plan was get one of those guys or Nath early and then just figure the rest of the draft out. And I got him for $50. Is he the best? No, but let's talk about it. Doesn't play Origin. He was ranked fullback 4. I got him for the price of fullback 3. That's okay. Or maybe even less. I think a bit less. And then Jerome Hughes went for 60 and Teddy went 50 or 51, like just crazy stuff. To get Teddy for $50 when someone got, Kalen Ponga for 80, I'm okay. No buy, no Origin, has upside, has risk. We move on. It's okay. It's not the best. There's going to be weeks where it's really frustrating. There's going to be weeks where he will contribute to the rest of my team and it will be enough. I'm a little bit bored. I've had Teddy for 3 years in a row. This is the 3rd year, and I've had him a year before that. Won the title with him once, taking him in the first round in a snake before we moved to auction. So I do have a lot of history with Teddy. I love him. He's a gun. He's a freak. But I just kind of was intent on mixing it up this year. But this is just the way the chips fell. Like I just got caught holding him. Wasn't mad about it. And it let me get a pretty different team to usual because I had way more money after getting him for $50. And honestly, I'm sick to death. Is this not in focus? Hold on. Oh yeah. I'm sick to death of not having a good fullback at the end of my drafts. Going with Cleary and halfbacks in the past, it's a bit stressy to not have a good fullback. Why is my camera again not being friends with me? Sorry, team. Okay. I'm just going to carry on. Okay, potential moves. Stash Sammy Walker because we are really weak in the halves. We're risky in the halves. Trade Ola and a CT dub for a halfback upgrade. It's another option I'm working on. Hold all my players and just utilize the depth through Origin and maybe hope for a last-ditch trade when someone's on the fence of making finals and getting really desperate. I just go, here's bloody Ola Kawatu and Chance Nickel Clockstad and Ronaldo Mulatalo and just like get a gun or something at the end there. I have really nice base as well, just in general, so I should be pretty competitive sort of no matter what happens. So that's pretty exciting. This is annoying me again. Okay. Opportunities. Iongi hits and he's great trade bank. trade bait. Terrell May hits crazy forward pack. Like, I could just shred with that high base, and just all I need is 1 to 2 City Dubs or Teddy to pop off, and I win most weeks, 70% of the time. I can manage injuries well with all my flexibility and depth with firm or slotting CT Dub, 2RF, Ola. Get through Origin pretty well in theory. Risks though, weak halves, and I do have Origin for Yo, To'o, Cobbo, Ola, Firm or Robertson, so I need to manage that as we go. Should be okay though. Alright, bit of fun. My team's here on the right behind my head, so you kind of know who I've got. But look at these other teams. Team Drinky, Team KP, Team Tommy, Team Nath. Enjoy the prices. They aren't really everything though. Don't freak out on them. It's auction. It's crazy. A few big mistakes in those prices. You'll have a chuckle. That's all goods. But just comment below the team you think is best if you want. I'll hold here for a sec. If you're listening, I'll read out some of the cores. We've got a Team Drinky where Lomax, Holmes, Burton, Drinkwater, Cherry Evans, Britton Nickera, Mitch Barnett are the core. Really strong team. The guy hit it out of the park with his draft. That's great to see. He got Drinky for such a cheap price. I drove him up. I was risking everything. He nearly pulled out and left me with Drinky and Teddy for $90 in my budget, but he went one more and I was happy just to bleed him out because he was going to get him for like $30, which is a pure disgrace. We've got Team Kalen Ponga, who has Harry Grant, Dylan Brown, then a really weak rest of Watson, Bateman, Timoko, who's okay, Jack Howarth is okay. Like, he doesn't have a lot there. Don't love it, but obviously he's got Ponga. He's got Grant and Brown who will get him out of a pinch, but yeah, just not enough depth, I think, there. Team Tommy is pretty interesting. We got Tom Travojevic, Isaiah Papali'i, Jesse Ramian for $7, bargain. Corey Horsburgh, Jerome Luai, Herbie Farnworth, paid a pretty penny for a CT dub there, $22. Then he stupidly blew his load on Adam Reynolds for $16, just bizarre. And Reed Marnie, $14, very odd. Not the best team, but a really strong captain, and that's interesting. Then we've got Team Nathan Cleary, Payne Haas, Jermaine Hopgood, and then he was absolutely broke after spending $15 on Coruscant. And yeah, he filled in the gaps okay. Like a $1 punt on Campbell Graham is pretty strong. $2 on Tulangi, $2 on Tupou. So he's patched together a team pretty strong. If Cleary's healthy, that guy should go pretty well, but it's also pretty lean. Like Lindsay Smith, like that's me letting him get Lindsay for $2 was a mistake I made in the draft, guys. A mistake I made in the draft. That's okay. And then obviously my team. So take a look at those. Let me know what you think. We're going to move on. This is what I want to show people though. Like in round one, if this was a snake draft, using our community league for a bit of an ADP, just bear with it. It isn't perfect, but the community league's pretty competitive. I'm okay using it. Round one, I got one player, Teddy. Round two, I got two players, Eli Katoa, Brian To'o. Round three, I got two players, Isaiah Yeo and Hamoli Olakawatu. Round four, I got two players, Ronaldo Mulatalo, Terrell May. Round 5, I got the one player, Bo Fermor. He was the 50th pick on the nose in our community league. Round 6, I got one. Round 7, I got two, and then so on and so forth. But that's really it, because I just had Hazleton later, which didn't really matter, Duffy and Jack Cole. So if this was a snake draft, I would have had 5 top 50 picks. Okay? And at the end of the season, it shakes out differently. Do some of my 7th, 8th picks make top 50? Cool. Maybe. In auction, on an ADP, I had 8 top 50 picks, guys. So having a bit of skill, a bit of nous, landed me a lot of top 50 picks. Is that enough to win? Not at all. Not at all. But it is a bit of a justification, a bit of solace, a bit of consolation when you come out of the draft, you're not sure about your team. You've got to look at it like this sometimes and go, oh, it's not pretty. I'm not excited by having Teddy for the 3rd year in a row, but the fact I've got all these other studs, that's pretty fun. It's going to be a fun season. That's what matters, and that's the beauty of auction. I got to use my knowledge and my strategy on the day to get some good players, get a bit more talent, and not feel like I'm beholden to the performance of 1 to 2 guys like a regular snake draft, perhaps. All right, now those teams I showed you before with a few others included, I want to talk about the top 50 and let you know my team has 8 top 50 players. Wait, did I say? Yeah, 8 top 50 players, just sense checking. The team of Drinky I showed you before, the gun team, he has 7. A team I didn't show you before, Keanu Kinney's team, he has Kinney, Pappenhausen, Crichton, Colmatungi, Iro, Lucas, Tino, and Jermaine Asako. 7 top 50 players. Team Hughes, who I mentioned, he has 6 top 50 players, but one is Latrell and one is Carraz, so he did really well getting value out of top 50, and I think Roger Tuivasa shouldn't be a top 50 player, but he was drafted in our community league there, and I'm okay, that's fine. So we counted. Team Cleary, guys, only 3 top 50 players. Is it enough? That's the question. Again, he made some good picks late, so he may have salvaged it. Team David for feeder has Jaden Campbell for feeder, Moses, Gagai, and Galvin. Got the spine resolved with Moses and Galvin for a pretty penny. Did he get enough depth later? I'm not sure, but it's a good team. Does he have a good enough captain? Don't know. For Feeder and Campbell, risky. Tommy Turbo, one of the best captains in the game. He has 4 top 50 players. So, see, auction is absolute pure chaos and really interesting. And one of the ways to just get a feel for where your team's at after, as long as you got a solid captain, like the Nico Hines owner got Dylan Edwards. Nico Hines is not looking good this year in our league. He's not counted here. He only had 2 top 50 players. He did not have a good draft, the Nico Hines guy. So yeah, very interesting. The Reece Walsh one's interesting. He got Reece Walsh, Munster, Adam Fanua-Blake, who's looking good, but then just didn't get enough in those rounds as well. So it's crazy. It's so awesome. Auction draft is so chaotic. That's it on my presentation. I want to go back here and talk about mistakes, guys. Actually, I'll bring up the full board here so you can see the board. Just black out the names really quickly. You can see the names by going back, but it's fine. A few mistakes, I think, is just getting caught holding the bag here. Pretty early to spend $20 on CT dubs, even though in my world there's a world they're both top 15 CT dubs in a league where you roster 30, probably plus 140. Some people have 2 like me right now, so let's say 50. There's a world where they're top 15 for $20. It's not too bad. But yeah, so my big mistake, one of my big mistakes was just not going for my heart pick Drinky over Teddy. Should have committed harder for Drinky. Should have probably fought harder for DCE. I still would have put a sick team together even if I paid $35 for DCE and forced this guy to go elsewhere. Not getting in on Stefano for $5, really don't like that I didn't fight harder for Lindsay Smith, who I believe in. That's a mistake. I was in the Lockie Galvin stakes and I let him go for $11. It's an absolute mistake. Like, I could have easily pushed him up 15, 16. But at that point in the draft, I had spent a fair whack of my money. And I wanted Bo Fermor, Alamotti. There's a few names I wanted, and it was a mistake. So mistakes do happen. I was in the Munster stakes. I probably could have paid a bit more for Munster, but it was really early. I was freaking out. I only had, by then, I think I might have only had these guys, and I knew Yo, Katoa, To'o were on the board, so I thought, do I take Munster or do I get these 3? Now these 4. I mean, I'm taking these 4 over Munster every time when he's injury prone, and he may not do a lot, doesn't goal kick or anything, Munster, so he needs to really be involved. These guys are all freaks. So yeah, they're the mistakes. You got to make mistakes. It's all good. And this year I improved on something really important. I spent way more money in the mid rounds, which I've never done before. I spend this much. I spend a lot of money up the top, more than this, sorry. And then I just go $4, $5, $3, $2, $1, $1. It was really nice to actually spend some money, get a balanced team, and I think I finished with $3, which is a huge improvement on last year, where I think I finished with $15. Really screwed up last year because I was so obsessed with getting my sleepers last year, and I got them for $2. And I thought I would need $20. I got them for $2 each. 4 guys for $2. It's $8 spent, and I was trying to save $25 for them. So big lesson learned that I can outgun my league generally pretty late. Charles Nickel-Cloxton, I didn't really want him, but $3, I'll take it back up to Teddy. You never know, that could get you through a pinch. Charles Nickel-Cloxton, it's all good. Isaiah Yongi, I got caught holding him, thought everyone would beat him up, but it's whatever, we'll see what happens. So that's pretty much the story on that. Don't think I have to show you anything else, but yeah, if you stuck around this long, guys, I really appreciate it. Pretty happy with the team, honestly. It is what it is. Let me know in the comments the team you think's the best. There's a poll on my there's a poll on my Twitter too if you're interested. But yeah, 30 minutes. Hopefully that's not too long. I know a lot of people spend this much usually, but I like my potties to be a bit punchier. But if you enjoyed this, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We will have a bunch more content coming throughout the season. Obviously, I've spoken about what I haven't quite landed on what I'm going to do this season on a weekly basis, but you guys, if you're subscribed, you'll be the first to know. I do have Classic League updates coming, obviously, before part 2 of round 1 kicks off for Classic, Supercoach, and NRL Fantasy. So that is to come. But yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of my team. Let me know who you like out of the picks, who you don't like. Let me know if you're keen to try an auction draft next year. If you didn't know, there's an auction board template on my website. You can download it, you can edit it, fix it up, update the player names and positions for your draft next year, and you can run an auction draft on the one computer or whatnot with your mates. So, yep. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you guys in the next one.